In 1704, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb was at the absolute peak of his power. He ruled the Indian subcontinent with an iron grip, commanding an imperial army that had crushed every major rebellion. Then, a letter arrived. The letter was titled the Zafarnama, meaning the Book of Victory, for of his children. It is a strange document. A leader who has endured total physical defeat, penning a definitive declaration of victory over the man who hunted him. Understanding this requires measuring victory not by the size of an army, but by the preservation of a leader's integrity in the face of absolute tyranny. The roots of this conflict trace back to the rugged Shivalik Hills during the siege of Anandpur Sahib. Here, the newly formed Sikh warrior order, a Khalsa, posed a challenge to the traditional caste-based hierarchy maintained by the regional Hill Rajas. To crush this movement, a coalition of Mughal imperial forces and Rajput armies surrounded the Khalsa fortress. For months, they cut off all supplies, executing a campaign of starvation against the defenders inside. As the siege dragged on, the coalition commanders offered a peace treaty. They promised safe passage if the Sikhs evacuated. To guarantee this, the Mughal generals swore oaths upon the Quran, while the Rajput chieftains swore upon the cow. The Khalsa placed their trust in these sacred vows. This forced the empire to make a choice: honor its religious morals or abandon them for a tactical military win. On December 20, 1704, the Sikhs began to evacuate. Almost immediately, the imperial army broke their oaths and ambushed the retreating column in the dark. The Khalsa fought a rearguard action through the freezing rain until they reached the banks of the Sarsa River. Due to storms in the hills, the water had transformed into a raging torrent. The crossing was catastrophic. In the chaos of the flood and the midnight ambush, Guru Gobind Singh's family was separated. Hundreds of Sikh warriors drowned, and a vast collection of irreplaceable Khalsa literature was lost to the water. By breaking their word, the Mughal Empire dissolved its own moral authority. The survivors reached the far bank, fighting for the very existence of their faith. The Guru, his 2 teenage sons, and exactly 40 surviving warriors reached the village of Chamkor. They took refuge inside a haveli, a mud-walled house with a single entrance. Inside were 40 starving men, encircled by an imperial army numbering in the thousands. The Khalsa utilized an active defense, launching small guerrilla sorties. These 5-man units disrupted the front lines, preventing the massive army from coordinating a breach of the mud walls. The 40 defenders held the perimeter for days, using the constraints of the village to stall an imperial force that should have overrun them in minutes. As the battle reached its peak, the Guru's elder sons, Ajit and Jujar, requested permission to lead charges into the Mughal army. Both rode out, and both were killed. Guru Gobind Singh watched his sons fall from the roof of the fortress, yet he treated every dying Sikh warrior with the same reverence he showed his biological children. With almost everyone dead, the surviving Panj Pyare, the 5 beloved, invoked their collective authority. They issued a formal edict, ordering the Guru to escape. The Guru obeyed. He placed his royal garments on a surviving disciple to act as a decoy, and slipped into the night forest. By submitting to this command, the Guru placed the future of the movement in the hands of the collective Khalsa rather than any individual leader. While the Guru escaped, his younger sons, aged 9 and 7, were captured and brought before the governor of Sirhind. They were offered riches to abandon their faith. The boys refused. In response, the governor ordered them to be entombed alive, brick by brick, inside a wall. This act of imperial cruelty against children stripped away the final remains of Mughal legitimacy. Deep in the forest, Guru Gobind Singh sat down to write the Zafarnama. He did not use the letter to beg for mercy. He used it to challenge Aurangzeb's legacy on ethical grounds. Within the text, he defined the doctrine of Dharam Yudh. When all other modes of redressing the wrong having failed, raising of the sword is pious and just. The sacrifices at Chamkaur and the murders at Sirhind
galvanized the peasantry, sparking a unified uprising across the Punjab. Over the following decades, the Khalsa dismantled Mughal control in the region, eventually laying the foundation for a sovereign Sikh empire. The Battle of Chamkar proves that victory is not measured by who remains on the field. It is secured by the preservation of moral integrity against impossible odds.